Sit that right there, don't go nowhere, little baby gon' shake that, little baby gon' shake that, little baby gon' shake that, little baby gon' shake that. Said yeah, I like that, bring that right here. Said sit that right there, don't go nowhere. Said yeah, I like that, bring that right here. Said sit that right there, don't go nowhere.
What up, YouTube? We back with another reaction video. I think it's Swamp Stories. Yeah, it was from Swamp Stories. Surviving Diddy. Oh God. Mr.Take that. Like, bro, before I even get into it, the fact that his ad-lib was take that, and he really was trying to take that, it's crazy. Y'all didn't notice this? Y'all could have warned niggas. But Surviving Diddy, exposing all the M's, 8 bodies, the trauma and his dark, evil ways. Shady, nasty, disgusto, man. Just saying. It's probably going to be a 2-parter because it's an hour long. Y'all know how it goes.
What he's being known for with Cassie, I can only equate to some of the things that I've seen him and Kim go through.
Years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
See? I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes because he used to always get up early. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world.
Yo, what the did Puff just say?
Kim is dead. Heavy D is dead. Andre Harrell is dead.
Yo, she be exposing everything on God.
Are Puffy and Al almost died. Isn't that interesting?
There's no way
That's loud.
this kid should be getting, this man should be getting an icon award when all he has done was destroy the people around him.
Take that. Bro, I'm not playing.
Welcome back
He's
to
a
another
bug.
episode of Swamp Stories. For this one, we do something that we've never done before. We take a deep dive into one of America's most controversial figures. He's loved by some, hated by others, but everyone knows that he's a boss that you never want to piss off. As talented of a genius as he is, he's also known to be equally as angry, manipulative, and flat out evil. So in this video, we gather information and opinions to create an unbiased and hopefully accurate depiction of the man himself. This is Surviving Diddy. So let's dive in. The story begins in 1970s Harlem, a very rough place at the time. Poverty and violence ruled the community, and people did what they had to do to survive. One of these people was Melvin Combs, a man who climbed the ranks as a dealer in Harlem. But Melvin lived a double life, one where he risked his life and freedom in the streets, and another where he provided for his wife and 2 children. But by all accounts, Melvin and his wife did a great job sheltering their kids from the chaotic streets. Sadly though, in the mid-1970s, Melvin would lose his life to a deal gone wrong. On paper, Melvin was just another statistic, one of the thousands in New York City. But to his son named Sean, he was his everything. Sean was in elementary school when his father passed away, and his mother always told him that it was a car crash. Her idea was to shelter him from all things bad, and she even moved him into the suburbs. So in the 6th grade, the family moved to the city of Mount Vernon, and Sean attended a private Montessori school. In many cases, going from inner city to a private school can be a struggle, but not for a young Sean Combs. He was highly intelligent and charismatic, an instant leader amongst boys. So Sean spent the rest of his adolescence in Mount Vernon, thriving amongst his wealthier classmates. After high school, his good grades led him to the prestigious Howard University. There, he became an absolute star in all facets. He joined a fraternity and was known for throwing the best parties in DC. On top of this, he started a cab service that would safely take home drunk students after parties. He was already a natural businessman, and everyone knew that he was destined for success. All he had to do was wait patiently for his first major opportunity. For him, this would come rather early. In fact, it was in 1989 after his freshman year. While home in Mount Vernon, he linked up with a good childhood friend named Dwight Myers, also known as Heavy D. Growing up, Heavy D Heavy was like a big brother to Sean, a mentor in many ways. Well, Heavy was a talented rapper, and by 1989 he signed a major deal with Uptown Records. So over the summer he introduced his friend Sean to the owner of Uptown Records, a respected mogul by the name of Andre Harrell. Right off the bat, Andre took a special liking to a young Sean Combs, like an oddly special liking. I guess he saw major potential in him because he decided to give him a major opportunity right away. So in the summer of 1989, Sean was hired as an intern at Uptown Records. Over the summer, Sean spent countless hours in the studio and in meetings with major artists from around the country. It was truly a dream come true for a freshman in college, something that's pretty much unheard of. Well, the fall comes around and Sean has to return to campus in DC. Andre didn't want him to go and tried to convince him to drop out and stay with the label, but Sean's mother was not having it. So together they came to a compromise. Twice a week, Sean would take the train from DC to New York to be at the Uptown office. This was 4 hours each way, meaning that Sean spent a total of 16 hours a week just to remain an intern at Uptown. This really didn't make any sense. What could he bring to the table that required him to do all of this hassle? Well, you might find out in just a second, so hold on. This crazy lifestyle continued for a few months until Andre Harrell put his foot down. He offered him a full-time job at the label if he would drop out of Howard and return back to New York. Sean accepted it and it worked out extremely well. This is because at just 20 years old, Sean was promoted to the vice president of the label. Whoa, now we're all thinking the same thing, aren't we? Why in the world would Andre Harrell promote a 20-year-old to the vice president of his label? The music industry is one of the hardest to crack, and for most it takes decades to get this position. So how did Sean Combs really get this job so young? And that leads us to a little bit of deep diving history.
Bet that thing.
Back in the day, Andre Harrell had a very similar story to Sean Combs. He was another college student in the Bronx hoping to one day work in the music industry. And while in college, he was discovered by a legendary music mogul by the name of Clive Davis. For those who don't know, Clive is famous for founding Arista Records and for being one of the first moguls to come out of the closet.
He bet that thing up. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Clive took a special liking to Andre and took him under his wing in the music industry. Long story short, in 1985, Andre was given funding to start his own music label, one called Uptown Records. So just like Puff, Andre went out and discovered underground rappers, one of which being Heavy D. So again, this begs the same question: how did Andre get this position at such a young age? Well, according to Sean's former assistant, it's all a power dynamic with Clive Davis at the top. The insinuation is that the boss takes advantage of a young intern and will pay them back later on.
He loves the ability to manipulate and control people. Why? Most likely because he was victimized by his mentor, who loved to control people.
And his mentor was
Andre Harrell.
Tell us how
who was mentored by Clive Davis.
Don't tell me that Andre Harrell got by Clive Davis too. Don't tell me that Andre Harrell got by Clive Davis too.
Regardless of the truth, stories like these have always been rumored in entertainment. Essentially, you get taken advantage of by those in power, and that's how you make it in your industry. Then the idea is that over time, the former victims become the perpetrators. Now, of course, these are all just rumors, but Jaguar does get more specific. When Sean was hired at Uptown, Andre Harrell had a personal assistant named Kim Porter, and the rumor states that she caught Sean doing special favors for Andre.
But then again, you know, you had it in for Andre because Andre used to make you
I know it, Nick.
And Kim Porter had footage of it.
And Kim
Porter had footage of
the same woman he married?
The rumors have never proven to be true, but they will be important later on. Well, make of all that what you want, but the fact is that Sean's career took off from here.
Diddy!
After becoming the vice president of Uptown, Sean truly put his head down and grinded for success. He scouted the local underground scene in order to find his first diamond in the rough. This is how he discovered his first artist in 1991, an MC out of Long Island by the name of Craig Mack. Craig was an instant success, but Sean wasn't satisfied with just him. While While scrolling through the Source magazine, Sean was intrigued by a rapper in the unsigned hype section. This would be a young rapper out of Brooklyn by the name of Notorious Big. So in March of 1992, Sean got in contact with Big and brought him to the studio. He was blown away by his talent and instantly signed him to Uptown Records. Boom, this was his next Uptown protege. Now I know what you're thinking, but Biggie was a certified street dude and he was not going for that. It was strictly a business
Are you sure about that? And it's not to throw dirt on Biggie's name, it's just the fact that he had that suspect line. You look so good, I'll suck your daddy. Now, granted, it was supposed to be a reference to Richard Pryor saying that in one of his stand-up specials, but still, that line is Fruit Basket, not the anime.
Relationship, and here is where things get interesting. It's the fall of 1992 and Biggie completes his first album to be released. The debut album is called Ready to Die and both him and Sean feel very strongly about the project. But there's a major problem in the way. Uptown's parent company refuses to release the album. They expressed that the album was not to their liking and contained too many explicit lyrics. As you would expect, Sean was upset and so was Biggie. Sean did not respond well to the decision, and because of this, he was fired from Uptown Records in late 1992.
Wait, how you gonna fire me, the vice president? And he getting...
This was devastating, but Andre Harrell had his back no matter what.
Final straw for me was when MCA wanted me to not put out the Biggie Smalls album because they didn't like the subject matter, and they wanted me to tell him he's got to change his tone, and it wasn't up to me, I felt, to tell a generation what they could and could not do artistically. So I knew it wasn't going to work because he was coming from a new space and a new era, and Biggie Smalls was more like in the streets and telling street stories, and he told them, well, I'm really letting you go so you could get rich. I'm really letting you go so you could get rich.
But was this really the case, or was something else at play? Puff had just gotten fired from his dream job at the age of 23. Most people would be devastated, but Sean fell right back on his feet. Just a month after being fired, Sean started his own label called Bad Boy Records. Obviously, the 23-year-old didn't have the pockets to fund it himself, so it was initially a partnership with Arista Records. Wait, let's get this straight. So Sean was fired by Uptown and then given his own label by Uptown's bosses. How does that make sense?
Makes no sense.
Well, it's possible that Jaguar Wright was correct.
He stepped around Andre Harrell and gave you the keys to the kingdom. Andre was in line.
So again, here's the idea. Andre Harrell had to do special favors for Clive Davis in order to be hired and then get his own label. And once Andre established his label, he repeated the same cycle on Sean Combs. But for former Uptown singer and assistant Jaguar Wright, she believes that Clive Davis was in on it as well. I guess her idea is that Sean did things for Andre in order to be hired, and then he did things for Clive in order to climb the ranks. And being that Clive is above both of them, he had the authority to give Sean his own.
Is that why it was called Puff Daddy? What was he smoking on, dick? Yeah. It all makes sense.
Label.
Andre got passed over. Like, how do you go from being the president of Uptown and losing your entire company to your intern? Like, Puff started out as an intern.
And that's because you know Clive Davis, and we all know he has lots of secrets. Clearly, he trusts you. He stepped around Andre Harrell and gave you the keys to the kingdom. Andre was in line.
If the rumored power dynamic is true, then Clive Davis did replace Andre Harrell with Sean Combs. Meaning that now, instead of Andre, it was Sean doing special favors for Clive. And as a reward, Clive made Andre drop him from Uptown and gave him his own label. Of course though, this is all silly speculation. But what's not speculation is that Uptown's artists were released from their contracts and were able to sign with Bad Boy Records. This way, Sean now had full control over Biggie and Craig Mack. Well, after starting Bad Boy, Sean started going by the alias Puff Daddy. This is a name given to him by his mom because when he was a kid, he used to huff and puff whenever he was mad.
Okay.
So now we enter the era of Puff Daddy and Bad Boy Records. Puff's Bad Boy released their first album in July of 1994, which was Craig Mack's Flavor in Your Ear. The album took off to immediate success, and this is how Bad Boy entered the industry. Then just 2 months later, Biggie's debut album Ready to Die released as well. Both albums did well, and Puff was eager to keep it going. So just 2 weeks after Biggie's album, Bad Boy released Craig Mack's second album, Funk the World. Puffy couldn't miss, and he was eager to recruit more and more new artists. He was becoming so respected in the industry that other moguls were coming to him for advice. And that takes us down to Atlanta, Georgia. In 1992, music mogul L.A. Reid discovered a 12-year-old singer named Usher Raymond. While watching him perform at a local talent show, he saw some Michael Jackson in him. He was so impressed that he signed him to his label LaFace Records at just 13 years old. Interestingly enough, LaFace Records was under the Arista umbrella. Just keep that in mind. Well, the story goes that in order to prep Usher for his music career, he was sent to go live with none other than Puff Daddy.
And that's why Keke Palmer's mom said that Usher is gay. Her words, not mine. I didn't say that. You live with Mr. Take That. And you was a kid. I'm scared. Usher, my nigga. What are you doing?
So at 14 years old, Usher was sent to live with Puffy full-time, something known as Puffy's Flavor Camp. I guess the idea was for Puffy to mentor him and send him down the right path. But according to Usher, there was a lot more going on than just that.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp?
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
in the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
Nah, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place. And I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans, Jodeci, Mary J. Blige. They didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time. You know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 a.m. with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem. I had like,
what
like a living.
Life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
See?
Many people out there believe that Usher was Puffy's first victim of the power ritual. There's no proof to show that, but these clips may convince you that something strange was going on.
I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented.
He said before pause was invented. They were sword fighting. I need to go to sleep.
But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes because he used to always get up early with me. Now he's one of the richest.
Frosted Flakes, yo, what the fuck did Puff just say? Nobody's gonna acknowledge this but me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes, and we're streaming live. That was stupid.
So what do you guys think? Is Usher a part of Surviving Diddy, or is this just a silly assumption?
Huh?
Well, now we move on to the next chapter.
Is that why Usher had to let it burn?
Regardless of all the nonsense, Puff was truly a genius at discovering and developing artists, and in the process he was gaining immense wealth and power in the industry. As you would expect, the success got to his head pretty quickly. By many accounts, Puff grew an obsession with having complete control. He
takes
wanted
weird
control
pictures.
over everyone around him, even for the silliest things. So here is the first example. The year is 1995 and Craig Mack is eager to continue his success, so he puts together his third studio album, one by the name of Operation Get Down. The story goes that he brings the album to Puff to get it released, but things don't go as planned. Puff allegedly tells Craig Mack that if he wants the album released, he has to fire his manager and then hire a bad boy manager. But Craig's manager is one of his closest friends and has been rocking with him since day one. Because of this, Craig is loyal to him and tells Puffy no. Even though it's a silly request, Puffy is pissed because he doesn't have control over the situation.
Puff told Craig Mack if he didn't change management, he wasn't with him no more. Craig wasn't getting rid of his management. Craig said, yo, listen here, man, I'm not changing my manager just because you want to. Puff said, yo, I ain't that kid no more. Not at all. I was right there when he said that. Told Craig Mack, you don't change your management, I ain't fucking with you.
Craig stands on his principles and refuses to fire his manager, so Puffy decides to be petty. He completely stops paying him and refuses to release his music. This made things awkward at Bad Boy, as Craig no longer had the power to control his career or his narrative. In this 1995 interview, you can see the awkwardness on full display. Like, Craig Mack could not believe that Diddy would really lie on camera like that.
I'm sure you got much things in store for my man. Yeah, definitely. We got a new album we're working on him to drop in January. We got a new album we're working on him to drop in January.
Watch Craig Mack's face.
You can see the disbelief in Craig Mack's face. Like, no way he's saying this.
What? He had to check his ear.
From here, frustrations grew further between Bad Boy and Craig, as Craig felt betrayed by his boss. I was your first artist. I was the one who took the risk and signed to your label. And more importantly, I've made you a whole lot of money. And now you're willing to throw away my career over a silly manager. What is going on? But not only did Puff want his career to dwindle, it's also rumored that he wanted him killed. Craig knew what Puff was capable of, so everywhere he went, he rolled around with a blicky, something very risky in New York City. He even contemplated getting rid of Puff in order to save his own life.
I had a gun in my lap. And I'm sitting there and I'm talking to God. I'm like, Lord, I don't want to do this. But if it comes to getting ugly where somebody's going to be trying to kill me, I'm going to have to do something first or do something to prevent that from happening.
In what world should an artist have to fear for his life because his own boss wants to harm him? Well, Craig says that Puff tried to set him up at the studio, but when he showed up with certified goons, he decided to back off. So thankfully the situation didn't end terribly, but it was the start of a new era for Puffy. Not only had he become a control freak, but now he was bringing the threat of violence to the table. Slowly, the golden child of the industry was becoming the villain behind closed doors. And now we enter Diddy's violent era. While the Craig Mack drama was taking place internally, a whole nother beef was stewing in the industry. By the fall of 1994, Bad Boy had competition for rap's biggest label, and this would be California's Death Row Records. Particularly, Tupac had become the biggest star in rap and everyone wanted a feature. In this case, Uptown Records producer Ron G wanted Tupac to record a verse for Biggie Smalls. So Pac asked for $7,000 and Bad Boy agreed to pay for the verse. So Pac records the verse with Ron G and then is told to go to the Quad Studios in Manhattan to pick up the money.
And
that takes us to November 30th, 1994.
Pac inside definitely sound like a setup.
Pac arrives in Manhattan and walks to the Quad Studios. As he's entering the building, he hears some Bad Boy associates yelling his name from the upstairs window. Pac is excited to meet with Bad Boy and he walks in the lobby to take the elevator upstairs. But as he approaches the elevators, two men in masks are waiting for him right there. Before he can run, the men whip out and reach for his pockets. Pac tries to fight them off, but that's when the men make a wild decision. While being carried out of the lobby, Pac flips off Notorious Big and other Bad Boy associates, assuming that they set him up. Thankfully though, Tupac would survive his injuries after a successful surgery. The Bad Boy set him up to be killed. At the time though, he couldn't do anything about it as he had his hands tied with a legal case involving a woman. In fact, the day after his surgery, he appeared in court where he was sentenced to 8 months in Rikers Island. While incarcerated, the national story was that Bad Boy set him up to be robbed. On top of this, Pac did an interview while incarcerated where he said that Bad Boy did it overtly. He claimed that when he was on the way to the studios, Puff kept calling him to see where he was. He wanted to know when exactly he would get in, and that was Pac's main reasoning for thinking they set him up. Because of this, Puff was under major scrutiny and he needed to clear it up.
So I said, what's up to me? I'm about to get on the elevator, and he comes out shot.
The Tupac article had me pissed off, you know what I'm saying? Because first of all, he dissed my man, said my man turned his back on him, and I know for a fact that didn't happen, you know what I'm saying?
Why this nigga keep looking around though, bro? I don't trust Diddy's eyes, bro.
And like the rumors that's spreading is on some tip like we set him up. You know what I'm saying? And that's crazy.
If there's any psychologists watching, please let me know why Puff's eyes are having a dance battle.
Like, bruv.
Anyways, Puff was not done clearing the air. In fact, he visited Tupac at Rikers Island to assure him that Bad Boy had nothing to do with it. But was this really the case? Because Puff's bodyguard claims that he let this happen to Pac.
The people who knew what was going to happen to Pac was in the studio. Was in the part of the quad studio with Jimmy Hitchman, and that was Andre Harrell and Puffy. So Puff knew. Andre Harrell knew.
If Gene Deal's perspective hasn't convinced you, then maybe what happens next will. In February of 1995, Biggie released a hit song called Who Shot Ya, which many people think is a Tupac diss. And one of these people was Pac himself, who felt betrayed and lied to by Puff. You told me one thing to my face, but your actions proved otherwise. To an alpha male like Pac, that was the ultimate disrespect. Well, after the record, all peace was off the table and Death Row cut ties with Bad Boy. That takes us to August 3rd, 1995. It's the annual Source Awards in New York City, and Death Row are nominated for Soundtrack of the Year. Of course, tensions are in the air because the show is in New York, and everyone is curious if anything will happen. Well, Death Row wins the award, and Suge takes the stage.
First of all, I'd like to thank God.
Oh, it's so trash.
Second of all, I'd like to thank my whole entire Death Row family on both sides, you know what I'm saying?
This nigga overly swole, man.
I'd like to tell Tupac keep his guards up. We ride with him.
Like he don't got no neck, he's so damn swole.
And one other thing I'd like to say, any artist out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the video,
you know what I'm saying?
all on the record,
you know what I'm saying?
dancing. Come to Death Row.
Come to Death Row, bro. Ain't nobody trying to hit no take that.
This was obviously a sneak diss at Puff, and the crowd was not feeling it. To make matters worse, Snoop Dogg takes the stage and doubles down.
The East Coast don't love Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. The East Coast ain't got no love for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Death Row. Y'all don't love us. Y'all don't love us. Well, let it be known then. We know y'all East Coast. We know we at East Coast and F.
Oh, he getting booed.
This moment here officially kicked off the Bad Boy versus Death Row beef. This meant that Puff's gangster was now being put to the test for real. Being that they exist on opposite ends of the map, interactions would not be often, but being in the same industry, the sides were bound to cross paths.
Horrible choreography.
September 23rd, 1995. Here we are in beautiful, well, not at the time, but here we are in Atlanta, Georgia for Jermaine Dupri's birthday celebration at the Platinum House nightclub. Here, much of the rap industry will be in attendance by midnight. Early in the night though, it's just the Bad Boy crew and associates hanging in the club before it opens. This would of course be Puffy, his bodyguard Wolf, Too Short, Dallas Austin, and plenty more. So they're all chilling in the club and a couple of hours go by. And this is when they receive some unexpected visitors. At 10 p.m., the Death Row crew arrive at the Platinum House parking lot. First, a Death Row associate named Big Jake walks in the club to scope it out. He then looks around and sees Puff Daddy and Jermaine Dupri sitting at a table in the corner. He instantly walks back to the parking lot to tell Suge where they are. Then together, the massive duo walk into the club headed for Puffy. They walk straight up to the table, and that's when Suge Knight slaps Jermaine Dupri directly across the face. This is simply to get to Puffy, who's standing right behind him.
Okay, that's cool, bro, but Jermaine Dupri's not that big and never really was, bro. So for you to smack Jermaine Dupri, bro, you's a hoe. Tell him you smack that Jermaine Dupri because he with Puffy. He trying to make some money. You smack the producer. Smack Puff big ass. Weak ass. Like, bro, Puff doing all this extras. Why is you smacking niggas who's around him? They ain't got nothing to do with nothing, bro. That nigga make beats and write music. You lame as hell.
Suge then grabs Puff by his arm and brings him in. He begins yelling at Puff, but that's when Wolf gets in between them. He tells Suge it's not gonna go down like that. So it turns into a brawl and they're all escorted out of the club.
Look at skinny ass Jermaine Dupri,
After
bro.
all this, Suge and Puff actually hug it out and squash the beef. But then out of nowhere, shots go off across the street.
And exactly. Now, if I'm Jermaine Dupri and I just got slapped by this big ass nigga, and then y'all niggas just had a whole brawl, bro, and y'all, you and Puff squash it, I'm gonna be in the wrong if I let that fall, right? Like, bro, you don't get the hell out of my face, bro. You was a whole bum ass nigga, bro. How about you keep your hands to yourself, bro? You could have just punched on Diddy, bro, and walked up out of there. Like, bro, you doing too much.
So they all duck down and look over to see what's going on. All it is a man across the street shooting his gun into the air. But while everyone is distracted, a man walks right behind Big J.
Poked him. Oh, damn.
We own the club, the Platinum House. I had been at Jermaine Dupri's party and I seen Jake, and he was looking for Puff and they was looking for Jermaine them there. And I didn't see them at their own party. Jermaine Dupri, his security, Puff with Wolf. And Jake looks in and see these guys. Suge came back, boom, 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 boom. He came right in and slapped the shit out of Jermaine Dupri. Bah! And Puff was standing right there, and he snatched Puff with one hand. Suge had him with one hand and was shaking him. Then Wolf reached over and grabbed him. Shit ain't going down like this no more. Standing there, Suge's in front of.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. Wolf ass would have got fired, bro. You telling me you let somebody who was with me get slapped up, then not even 5 seconds later, I'm getting accosted with one hand, about to get chokeslammed by light-skinned Big Show, nigga. It's over with, bro. You're fired. Like, Wolf, you're done. Like, what are we doing? You're done.
With Puff, they walk into the limo. All of a sudden, somebody started shooting across the street. And I could see this dude just busting. Pop, 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 pop. They were called the play for the overlay. They started shooting across the street to make everybody look. We looked. The dude came out of nowhere and just touched Jake. And Jake was about 400 pounds.
Big Jake was Suge's best friend and Death Row security wherever they went. So this loss was devastating to Death Row, but they had no idea who did it. But then a few days later, 3 witnesses reported that Puff's bodyguard Wolf was the assailant. Whoa, did Puff's bodyguard take out Suge Knight's best friend?
I see why Wolf didn't get fired. And that poses a great question. Did Diddy tell him, yo, if anything goes down tonight, we're taking this man's best friend off the map? But I guess it's a question for when we finish this video. So that's part 1 of Surviving Diddy, the Diddy Bopper. We ain't even get into all of the weird things he's done, and we're just starting the violent era. And there's supposedly 7 more bodies after this. So it's going to get deep. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and I'll catch you in part 2. Stay safe out there, y'all.
I'm a cowboy, can't stop me, ain't to live is to come. All this pain got me feeling accomplished. See these men turn me into a monster. Hey, I'm a cowboy, can't stop me, to live is to come. All this pain got me feeling accomplished. See these men turn me into a monster. I'm a cowboy, can't stop. Hey, all that pain got me feeling jaded. Many to roll when to make it. Still plugged into the mix, but lagging out before the update. Drop back in, different time, same location.